Hello, everyone. It is Glen Kyle here, director of the Northeast Georgia History Center. So glad you could join us on this, our first virtual Family Day. We're so glad to be doing these, and we're very, very glad to have you with us. So this segment, I just wanted to pull in just a couple of clips from old classic Hollywood movies. Well, how did I choose these, you ask? Well, number one, I love movies, so I get to pick what I like, and so these are the clips I've picked. But I've also wanted to pick some that can give you just a taste of a lot of what old Hollywood had to offer. Old Hollywood was this magical place in the 1920s, the 1930s, and moving into the 1940s that personified how America saw itself. There was song, dance, comedy, adventure, and of course, true love. So we're going to look at only 4 film clips. It's going to be rough, but I want you to take a look at these and really think about how they represent how old Hollywood really began to set the stage for cinema history and how it has influenced the movies that we still watch even today. The first one we're going to pull up is the 1933 classic King Kong. Now, this may seem kind of corny, and looking at a lot of these old Hollywood movies seems somewhat corny to us, but you have to remember when these things were released, they were very serious, and they were absolutely state-of-the-art, especially the special effects. So the clip that I have here, is the classic image of King Kong on top of the Empire State Building with the damsel in distress, Faye Dunaway there. And when you watch it, notice that it's a really great example of advanced special effects. There's a lot of composite shots. You'll see the special effects superimposed over a background image of New York with an image of Faye Dunaway there at the bottom. There's a lot of complex stuff going on. And of course, it is the sad moment when King Kong finally succumbs to 20th century technology despite his love for his new lady. So let's watch that clip.
My name's Denham.
Just a moment. Oh, Lieutenant.
Lieutenant, I'm Carl Denham. Carl Denham?
Denham? Oh, that's the man that captured the monster.
Well, Denham, the airplane's got him. Oh, no. It wasn't the airplanes. It was beauty killed the beast.
So, it was beauty that killed the beast. A great classic there from King Kong. Now, another example of beauty and not necessarily a beast is Swing Time, which is a classic Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers film. And I wanted to pull this one out to show you how amazing the technical ability of a lot of the stars from Hollywood was at this time. It was very, very common for movies to show song and dance within the narrative. We don't see that a lot anymore, unfortunately. When we do, they're specifically sent to us as a musical experience or some sort of Broadway adaptation. But in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, these glorious films would show a lot of talent that, quite frankly, according to some of us, we just don't see today. So this great scene with some great dancing by two of the classic folks who were able to perform on screen. And I always want you to remember as you watch this, who was better, Fred Astaire or Ginger Rogers? Well, I will say that Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did, only she did it backwards and in heels. Let's watch.
Oh, Miss Carroll, I want to show Mr. Gordon how much you've just taught me.
No, never mind.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very sweet of you.
Please.
I'm very anxious for Mr. Gordon to see this because I think it's the most interesting experiment. Now, how did you say that last step went? Oh, yes. Shall we try it right through? Won't you sit down, Mr. Gordon?
So, really great scenes, and when you watch these things, they did have to cut the scenes a little bit, but you're still seeing a lot of long scenes showing how much rehearsal and effort went into these from these movie stars. So next up is one of my personal favorites and one of the first Errol Flynn films that I saw, Seahawk. And this movie is great. It tells the story of a swashbuckler, sort of a mix of Sir Francis Drake and those Elizabethan sea dogs, and it has Queen Elizabeth too. What really makes this movie interesting is that it's a classic swashbuckler film. Errol Flynn became known for his sword fight scenes and for his adventure, and I picked this one because I want you to watch the cinematography. Not only are the sets beautiful, but the way they do the lighting, the way they do the movement is something that is meant to present the most beautiful and perfect motion-based spectacle on screen. So here is one of the most classic sword fights from Errol Flynn's career.
Are you in danger?
Until I see the Queen.
I'll help you. There's a private corridor to the Queen.
Good.
Oh, Captain Thorpe, did Carl come back?
Carl always comes back. He's at Dover.
The door's straight ahead. The first corridor to your left.
Delay them as long as you can.
We have an order to search your rooms.
Search our rooms? What for?
Well, I'm sorry, Miss Latham, but I can't take time to explain. Either you open the door or we break it in.
Break that door in, and the Queen shall hear of it.
The Queen will hear of it if we don't.
Very well. Break it in.
Have you 9 lives, Captain Thorpe? Surely by now, most of them must be used up. I was expecting you, Captain, but not alone, nor in a Spanish uniform.
You should be wearing it.
Perhaps I shall, one day. You have some dispatches for me, Captain?
I have some dispatches for the Queen.
I'm afraid I shall have to ask you not to disturb Her Highness.
It's very thoughtful of you, my lord. But I think she'll wish to be disturbed. These dispatches bear the seal of Spain.
You won't be as lucky this time as at Panama.
Stop it! Stop it, I tell you!
Your Majesty.
With that adventure, we also, that one was filmed in 1941, and of course, that's the year that the United States entered into World War II. And if any one thing began to change old Hollywood into something different, it was certainly World War II. The experiences of Hollywood being employed into the war effort for the United States really changed the way it operated, and in the post-war world, it was just a different thing than it had been. So Casablanca is really sort of one of the last great old Hollywood films. It has, of course, Humphrey Bogart, and I could have pulled a lot of great movies with Humphrey Bogart, but I had to pull this one. Again, why? Because it's one of my favorites. As a matter of fact, I'll go out on a limb and say this is probably my favorite film of all time, and I think it is one of the greatest. If you want to read a great story about how this film almost didn't get made and how there were so many changes made even during production, you should certainly do the research on that. And for heaven's sake, if you haven't seen the whole movie, you've got to go immediately after this clip is over and watch the whole thing. But if you have, join me now as we watch one of the most iconic scenes from all of cinema history.
Louis, have your man go with Mr. Laszlo and take care of his luggage.
Certainly, Rick. Anything you say. Find Mr. Laszlo's luggage and put it on the plane.
Yes, sir. This way, please.
If you don't mind, you fill in the names. That'll make it even more official.
You think of everything, don't you?
And the names are Mr. and Mrs. Victor Laszlo.
But why my name, Richard?
Because you're getting on that plane.
I don't understand. What about you?
I'm staying here with him till the plane gets safely away.
No, Richard, no. What has happened to you? Last night
Last night we said a great many things. You said I was to do the thinking for both of us. Well, I've done a lot of it since then. It all adds up to one thing. You're getting on that plane with Victor where you belong.
But, Richard, no,
Now, you've got to listen to me. You have any idea what you'd have to look forward to if you stayed here? 9 chances out of 10, we'd both wind up at a concentration camp. Isn't that true, Louis?
I'm afraid Major Strasser would insist.
You're saying this only to make me go.
I'm saying it because it's true. Inside of us, we both know you belong with Victor. You're part of his work, the thing that keeps him going. If that plane leaves the ground and you're not with him, you'll regret it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life.
But what about us?
We'll always have Paris. We didn't have. We lost it until you came to Casablanca. We got it back last night.
When I said I would never leave you.
And you never will. But I've got a job to do, too. Where I'm going, you can't follow. What I've got to do, you can't be any part of. Ilsa, I'm no good at being noble, but it doesn't take much to see that the problems of 3 little people don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world. Someday you'll understand that. Now. He's looking at you, kid.
Oh, if you're not crying, you're not really a person. The Ingrid Bergman, Humphrey Bogart scene there at the end of Casablanca just ties so many things up and has become one of the great icons, not just of American cinema history, but of American history overall. As a matter of fact, it's so important to me that one of our first podcasts that we did here at the Northeast Georgia History Center was about the movie Casablanca. I believe it actually may have been the first podcast that we did. That has been an incredibly brief trip down memory lane, looking at old Hollywood, picking out just a couple of clips that give you a sense of what it would have been like. So go watch some of those old black and white movies, pop yourself some popcorn, and get ready for a great treat. Thanks for joining us at the Northeast Georgia History Center. Thanks for coming to Family Day, and we will see you again soon.